Welcome to the Lalulah podcast, real life conversations about modern sexuality and how to live a happy, healthy, turned on life. I'm your host Laura Allen, a holistic health coach and founder of Lalulah, an online platform offering natural erotica toys as well as the educational tools you need to expand your pleasure in and outside the bedroom. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Lalulah podcast. This is a bonus episode and I'm going to be talking about self-pleasure and how to create the most sensational, juicy, delicious, divine solo sex practice with yourself. And I'm very, very excited about it. So before we dive in, I just want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by the Blossom Rose Quartz Yoni Egg, which is a natural and toxic-free alternative to rubber dildos or plastic Kegel weights. At Lalulah, we only work with certified and well-renowned brands who stock ethically sourced materials that are 100% body safe, meaning no chemicals, dyes, or artificial additives. Rose quartz is the ultimate crystal for cultivating self-love and deepening the connection to the heart. I absolutely adore working with the stone, as I always experience it as such a gift to myself and to my well-being. And the Blossom Rose Quartz Yoni eggs are available now in the Lalulah store. So, back to business. Today I want to talk to you about self-pleasure. I have so many women who tell me about their solo sex experiences and how minimal they are, if they even masturbate at all. And I remember before I started working within my sexuality, my masturbation practice would be late at night to get myself to sleep, no music or candles or any attention to detail in my pleasure. It was literally just a way to blow off steam, or, it would be a quick rub of the clit and then it would be over in 60 seconds. So I've learned a lot since then. And one of the things that I really love to share with my clients and with my friends and now with all of you is that creating a self-pleasure practice, whether there is orgasm or not, is one of the biggest gifts that we can give ourselves, because not only is it just such a loving and beautiful thing to do for ourselves, it also opens our bodies to become more receptive and to receive more pleasure, so that we can have an enhanced experience with our partners, but also in life, in everyday life. So I'm just going to take you through step by step what I would do and what I do to self-pleasure. So the first one is go out of your way to do the things that light you up all day. So for me, this is all day, every day. I make it my life's mission to act in ways that turn me on, bring me a sense of happiness and self-security and self-love. And so that can mean many different things, but on a particular day that you're planning to self-pleasure in the evening, you might want to wake up in the morning, have a really nice beautiful hot shower, and put your favorite dress on, do your hair nice, put makeup on, or, wear your favorite hair clip if you don't wear makeup. Just put in effort to make yourself look and feel like, the goddess or whatever word you want to use that you really are. I think that we can really hide behind our yoga pants and our trackies and sort of tell ourselves the story that we don't need to dress up for other people. I'm fine the way I am. And I think it can be a little bit misleading to ourselves, because looking good and walking out in the world, like walking down the street and presenting ourselves to the world with pride for our bodies, pride in the way we dress, pride in the way we walk, pride in the way we talk, is just such a beautiful sign of self-respect, and I think it's really underestimated. And so when we show up for ourselves during the day and do these things that make us feel good and enhance our experience in the world, that is going to bring us pleasure, and that is going to build the relationship of trust and love and respect that we have with ourselves first and foremost, which is key to any kind of self-loving relationship, whether it be physical, emotional, spiritual. So that's the first thing that I like to encourage, is go throughout your day doing anything and everything in your power to do the things that light you up. Looking good, eating well, working out, ticking things off your to-do list, or, simply meditating and being. Whatever it is, go out of your way to make it happen. The next one is practice being present. Now, that is, being present in this world that we live in is, just becoming more and more impossible by the day, it seems. We've got social media, we have our careers, we have friends, we have traffic, we have advertisements, we have the internet, we have everything. Cars, driving past us at, a million miles an hour, and it's so easy to be pulled out of the present moment. But what we need to understand is that pleasure exists in the present moment. We cannot receive and experience pleasure when we are, worrying about the future or suffering from the past. So if you even just practice this with me right now and just put everything down around you and come into your body, into the present moment. Maybe you want to close your eyes and take in a big deep breath, like into your belly, and relax your belly, relax your abdominals, relax your anus, relax your pussy, relax your shoulders, relax your mind. Just breathe and be here right now, and just do a big sigh. I mean, how good does that feel? How yum is that? And how often do we get to do that throughout the day? So this is what I'm saying, practice being present, because being present when we're self-pleasuring, not only with ourselves, but with our lovers, is super important. How many times do we distract ourselves and put ourselves off from climaxing because we're in our head? So practicing being present using skills like meditation and so on is hugely important, and probably one of my biggest sex tips ever. So definitely, if you're having trouble, I always like to list things that are happening around me. So if I notice that I'm in my head and I'm really struggling to stay in the present moment, I will do an exercise where I list what's happening around me. What are the sensations that I can feel, hear, smell, taste around me? And I just start to list them in my head. And then of course there's just focusing on your breath, and I love to relax the belly. That is honestly just like, such a gift, especially as women. We just like always, sucking in our little bellies and trying to have a 6-pack of abs, when actually no. Yeah, when we really let all of that out, and just relax in that part of our bodies, that is where the juice is. Next one is create space. So just like pleasure exists in the present moment, pleasure also exists in spaciousness. If we have a schedule that is jam-packed from the minute we rise until the minute we rest, there is no room for pleasure or spaciousness in there, because we don't have the time or the safe container that we need to drop into our body and be present and be open to whatever we're going to receive, because we're thinking about what's next. So if we're going to go into a self-pleasure practice, it's so important to create space. Literally block out time in your calendar. Call it white space, call it spaciousness, call it flow time, call it self-pleasure time. If you've got plans and if you aren't feeling a full body yes to them, and if you are just craving some quality time with yourself, make it happen. Make it happen. Pleasure and self-pleasure and doing what's right for you is not selfish. Self-love is not selfish. And actually, it's when we start to show up for ourselves in the most exquisite and divine way, that is when we can really start to show up for our loved ones, for our peers, for our community, and for the world. So if you're dealing with a little bit of shame and a little bit of resistance when it comes to making this space for yourself, I want to invite you to just affirm that you're worth it and that you deserve it. And by filling your own cup first, you are going to be able to be there in a much more meaningful and fulfilling way for other people when you're ready and when you're in that space. Because you're coming from a place of fullness, and turned on deliciousness. So, yeah, create the space in your calendar. Super, super important. The next step is to create a physical space. So if you're living in a shared house, or if you are at home and you've got kids and a husband, try and make sure that you've communicated to, your family or to your friends that I'm going to be alone in my room, and it's, it's do not disturb time. Okay. No knocking on the door unless the house is on fire. In my house, I like to have a little headscarf around my door handle, and that means that I'm having quality time and I don't want to be disturbed. And so by doing something like that, I've communicated to the outside world what's going on, and I don't need to worry at all during my self-pleasure practice whether someone's going to come in and walk in on me or disturb me. That option is now completely eliminated and won't be a worry in my mind. So do you kind of see where I'm getting at with this? It's about eliminating all worries and things that can limit our potential to experience the maximum pleasure that we want to experience. Another thing when it comes to creating a physical space is make it sensual, make it beautiful. When we invite our friends over for dinner, we'll light candles, we'll put music on, we'll fill the room with good vibes and loving energy and laughter and play and anticipation of connection. Yet when it comes to masturbating or, spending that kind of time with ourselves, we just completely neglect those practices. Why? So I really love to go all out. I put on my essential oils. I put on my favorite solo sex playlist, whatever that might be at the time. It kind of depends on the mood that I'm in. If I'm feeling frustrated and feisty, it might be something a little bit more deep and fast-paced and ravishing. Or if I'm feeling really soft and gentle and innocent and playful, then it will be some kind of music that suits that mood as well. So just have a play and really feel into what turns you on. Make playlists. It's such a fun exercise to do for yourself. What are some other ways? Just like putting on a silk slip, or, wearing fabrics that are natural and make you feel beautiful. Put on something that makes you feel sexy, and surround yourself with cushions. Or I have a big sheepskin rug that I like to put in front of the mirror, and yeah, I think you get where that's going. So just be really mindful about your environment and set it up so that it is the most delicious and sensual experience that is going to turn you on and support your body in dropping deeper and deeper into bliss. The next step is release all expectations. This is super important. We are completely drenched in orgasm expectations, through porn and just, society and everything. We learned that the goal of pleasure, sex, even masturbation is to come. But by completely removing that expectation, you are allowing yourself to be present, there's that word again, to receiving the pleasure that you're meant to receive in the session. And a lot of the time you would be surprised at how profoundly deep and moving it can be once we've given ourselves the space to relax and just be with what's there. Because so often it just doesn't look like what we expect it to be. We think about foreplay when we're having sex with a partner, and how foreplay is usually the most exciting and erotic and playful part of the experience. And it's the same when we're self-pleasuring. We want to make sure that we are giving ourselves as much love and attention to our full body pleasure, and to building the tension, building the erotic energy within ourselves, and not just jumping straight to this goal-orientated mindset of having an orgasm. Especially if you are someone who actually struggles to orgasm, either with yourself or with a partner or both. Some of the best advice I was ever given was releasing the expectation or the need to even have an orgasm, and simply be in the pleasure that is available to you in that moment. And once I finally started to really embody that and take that on board and just let go of this need to come, that's when I started to reach whole new levels of sensation and pleasure and orgasm throughout my entire body. So I highly recommend that you practice letting go of that quick to come mindset. Next one is drop into your body. So you can do this in many ways, and it's really about experimenting and finding what works for you. Now, for those of you who follow my work, you know that I am a huge, huge advocate of meditation, and I pretty much think that meditation is the magic pill for nearly everything in the world. And I have so many women come to me and they go, I just want some practical advice on, like tips and tricks and how to be sensual, or how to dance like I do, or, how to have an orgasm. And I tell them to meditate, and they get so confused because they're like, no, I want something practical. And I'm like, but honey, this is the practical tool that I'm giving you. And trust me, I have heard all of the excuses in the world as to why people can or cannot meditate. And I'm here to tell you that no matter what you think is getting in the way between you or meditation, it's an excuse, and you can meditate. You absolutely can do it. Now, there are so many different styles of meditation that work out there. I have a lot of people come to me talking about how, they just can't get quiet and they think too much and their mind just goes crazy and they can't relax. And I get it. Thoughts are a part of meditation. There is nothing that we have to do to change that. It's about learning to sit and observe your thoughts as opposed to running away with the story. And that takes practice. I have been meditating for years, every single day, most days, twice a day. And I still, to this very day, sit down for a 20-minute meditation and have an entire think fest through the whole practice. And it's okay. It's not about that. It's about showing up and doing the work, because every time I practice, my practice gets deeper and every experience is different. And yes, meditation has hands down changed my sex life in such a huge way. By learning the skills to be in my body and not in my head, I have been able to reach, just whole other states of pleasure and orgasmic bliss that I could have imagined. And it's purely by sitting down and learning and doing the work. So please, meditation, I highly recommend it. I have a meditation coming out soon in Lalulah. I'm creating an entire meditation pack that's going to be full of solfeggio tones, binaural beats, and all types of different sensual meditations that we can do to connect to our womb, to our pussies, to our heart, to our whole bodies, learning how to move sexual energy around our body. There's going to be some tutorial videos in there as well as a little workbook, and I'm so excited because I just feel like meditation is pretty much the best sex tip that we could ever get in our entire lives. So I'm really excited to deliver that to you. But until then, just experiment and practice and find out what works for you. It could be sitting down doing a guided meditation. It could be doing a more dynamic movement meditation. You might be someone who works best with quick 5-minute meditations, or you might be someone who needs 20 minutes to drop in. So I want to invite you to just explore, experiment, find out what works for you, do the work, and have fun with it, because this is your body, this is your health, this is your pleasure, this is your well-being, and you are so worthy of it. Get into the body. The next step is turn yourself on. Okay, so where to start? Getting turned on is super important before we even think about, playing or going near our vagina, especially inside our vagina. And of course, there are so many different ways that we can do this, and it's super unique to each and every single one of us. That's why it's really important to start having these self-pleasure practices, because it's all about getting to know our own unique bodies, because what turns me on may or may not turn you on. Some really common practices that I like to share with all my clients is a simple breast massage. By massaging our breasts with, again, essential oils and coconut oil, we can really start to activate all of the meridian points in there, which, link up to all sorts of parts of our bodies, but there's a whole lot of juicy areas in there that are directly linked to our yonis, to our ovaries, to our womb. And it's just such a beautiful way. I'm actually just, now that I'm saying this, I'm actually just touching my breasts right now, because it's just so delicious to activate and to open our hearts. Our sex, like our yonis and our sex organs, are so deeply connected to our heart space. So men, for example, have a positive pole through their cocks. They have this protruding cock and they like to penetrate from that space. Whereas women, we have these big breasts, and our heart space is our positive pole. We like to penetrate from our hearts, and it's so easy for us to shut down our hearts because again, just like living in this day-to-day life, we need to sort of put shells around it to protect it from just the day-to-day, not to mention some of the hurt that we've experienced in the past and so on and so forth. So by massaging our hearts and really getting into our breast tissue and giving ourselves some tender, loving care in this area is such a beautiful way to activate our bodies. Personally, I love to do breast massage for 5 minutes in the morning every day, not even for the purpose of self-pleasure, but simply to activate my body and move through the world from this open and juicy and receptive and turned on space. So yeah, breast massage, I highly recommend. Another great way to turn yourself on is to move your body, move your hips, swirl your hips, and just start to pulsate your vagina and your anus and move that pleasure energy around your body using your breath. You can dance, put your favorite song on, dance in front of the mirror. And if that feels really uncomfortable for you, I get it. But practice, fake it till you make it. Look at yourself in the mirror and adore yourself. Tell yourself how sexy you are. Tell yourself how much you love yourself. I remember the first time I started doing this, I couldn't. I was just like, no fucking way, Jose. It was so hard because I had spent my life hating myself and saying the nastiest things to myself, and for me to then turn around and look at my naked body and look at myself in the eyes and say, I love you, you're beautiful. Just, yeah, look, it was an emotional time, but it was a practice, and I showed up and I did it every single day. And now I love looking at myself in the mirror. I love touching myself. I love looking at my naked body. I love looking at my pussy. I love masturbating in front of the mirror. I love seeing myself, honoring myself, adoring myself. It's such a gift, and it feels like such an honor to be in a place with myself where I can actually honestly say that I love and adore myself that much. And it's really sexy, guys. It is really sexy, honestly. Highly, highly recommend. So again, there are all sorts of ways to turn yourself on. It's about finding what works for you. Another really popular one is just like stroking your inner thighs and like teasing yourself, not touching your labia or your vagina or your clitoris, but just rubbing your whole body, giving yourself a whole body massage. There's all sorts of different ways that you can turn you on, but your mission is to explore, experiment, and play and find out what works for you. Next step is don't go straight for the clit. Okay, so I am not here to shame the clitoris. I am not here to tell you to never touch your clitoris again. I am not here to say that clitoral orgasms are bad. There is nothing wrong with having clitoral orgasms, okay? Honestly, this morning I woke up and I just totally had a clit orgasm. It took me all of about 3 minutes and it was amazing, okay? It is totally fine to just want to rub your clit and get the job done. I get it, okay? We all get it and it's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with it. But for the sole intention and purpose of this particular podcast, we're talking about creating a really divine self-pleasure practice here. So if you're going to go straight for the clit, then you might be cutting yourself short. Perhaps what you want to do instead is have some light and subtle clitoral stimulation. If you're needing some help to build the energy, then maybe just simply circulating the clitoris a little bit and being really quiet and soft and listening to the subtle energies that the clitoris is bringing you. Also, start to explore the rest of your vulva. Get curious. What is around there? Is it numb? Are there certain areas that are experiencing more pleasure? Or are there certain areas that are experiencing pain? Or just get really curious and observe what's there. You can also start to explore other areas like your anus or this sort of area just at the base of your thighs where your clitoris and all of the nerve endings actually expand out to you. So you can start to stroke that area really gently as well. Yeah, I think that's all I want to say about the clit. The next one is mindful insertion. So practicing a mindful insertion technique. And what I mean by that is not putting your yoni egg or your crystal dildo or whatever insertable device you might be using into your vagina unless you have full permission from your pussy. Now, if you're someone who's really new to like mindful conscious sexuality, and if you're someone who has had a lot of experiences where you've had sex where you haven't been fully ready, then, you know, this could be a really interesting practice for you. I remember when I first started getting into conscious sexuality, you've probably heard this on my other podcast before, but, you know, my pussy was like not happy with me putting things inside her for a long, long time. So once I started to get to know my pussy and get to know the messages that she was saying, she just wanted to say no. That's what she wanted to do. She wanted to say no. And by simply listening to her and saying, okay, I hear you. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to honor you and I'm going to respect your no. After a while, I had rebuilt that, you know, trusting, loving, and honoring connection with her again. And she was finally ready to say yes. And it was a full body yes. And my pussy was ready to be penetrated again. And that was a really deeply profound and very meaningful time for me, because I felt like I had reached a new level within my sexuality of knowing my body so deeply, knowing what my pussy wants, and being able to hold a boundary for her, not only with myself, but with my lovers, and, you know, even furthermore, like within my work, within the food that I ate when I was out with my friends. You know, who we are in the bedroom is who we are in life. So by being able to really tune into our body and what it wants at all times, and listen to that and honor that and speak that truth, is hugely profound and not to be underestimated. So listen to your pussy. Don't put anything inside her unless it's a full body yes. Sometimes if you just want to, you know, like get your yoni egg or your pleasure wand or your dildo and just, you know, hold it at the entrance of your vagina and just wait and wait and wait and ask and continue to stimulate and play with your body and ask until you get that yes. It's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful, I'm all about it. So have a go at that and let me know how you go as well, because I hear some really moving stories from women who start to do this practice. The next step is to practice edging techniques. So if you haven't heard of edging before, it's about building your erotic energy, building your pleasure up to almost the point of no return. So you know when you've reached the point of no return because it's the point of no return, and then you like fall off the cliff into climax. So it's about edging up to the edge of that cliff and then pulling back and, you know, relaxing, or, you know, taking the pressure off certain stimulation points that you might be activating at that time and just moving into another position, or, you know, just simply breathing and experiencing that pleasure that you've built up, letting it slowly calm back down, and then edging up to it again and again and again. And yeah, I mean, need I say more? It's pretty amazing. It's a great thing to do with yourself. It's an amazing thing to do with your lovers. And it's such a beautiful way to sort of keep sex going and to continue to build and expand that pleasure, and to also learn to contain it, right? Because when we're building orgasmic energy inside of our body, it's actually really difficult to hold it inside without wanting to explode and come, ejaculate, or have that clitoral orgasm. So learning to receive and hold all of that orgasmic energy in our body is massive. And it's just a practice. So yeah, just practice. And then, you know, if you do come and go over the cliff and have this amazing orgasm, then have at it, go. You know, it's like there is nothing wrong with orgasming here. And if you're there, get it, like enjoy it, relish in it, just like honestly, like love every second of it and be so present and mindful. Like think about or feel into all of the sensations that you're experiencing. Breathe really deeply and breathe this energy up through your body into your heart, like through your throat or into your fingertips. Experiment with moving this orgasmic energy around your body. And again, when this meditation pack comes out, you're going to learn all about how to move orgasmic energy around your body through meditation. And that again is why meditation is so important, because these techniques that we use in meditation and breathing is what we can use when we are climaxing. And it's one really beautiful way to, really expand our pleasure in and outside the bedroom, which is my motto. So there you go. The last step is aftercare. You know, once you've climaxed or once you've simply finished self-pleasuring, maybe you haven't had an orgasm, but you feel in your body that it's just time to finish, then beautiful. And be with yourself. You know, again, I really like to journal or just have a quick check-in with my body. I put my hand over my heart and over my pussy, like, how am I feeling? How does my body feel? Just doing the check-in. Maybe there's a bit of emotion that's come up. Do I need to sit with myself? Do I need to self-soothe? Or do I want to make myself a delicious cup of tea? Do I want to eat that raw cake that I purchased for myself earlier in the day? Do I want to indulge in something? You know, just really check in with yourself and look after yourself, because once we've gone through a really expansive practice like this, our bodies are really open. And to just, you know, get out of bed and go out into the world and, you know, or, you know, check our phones straight away and be bombarded by all of this external stuff can be not conducive to what our body really truly needs in that moment. So just sit with yourself, be gentle on yourself, and come out of the experience slowly and with ease and grace. Yeah, so there you have it. That is my guide to sensational self-pleasure. And I think that this is really just, you know, this is just a starting point. The more that you experiment and practice and play with yourself, you can add to it. You can take things out. Sometimes I'll like do a yoni steam before. It really just depends what I'm in the mood for on the day and the time and how much time I have. So, yeah, thanks so much for listening. And I'll be back with another episode soon. If you enjoyed this episode, hit like and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. And don't forget to share it with someone who you think could benefit from hearing it too. You can also sign up for Lalulah news and stay up to date with all the juicy content that we only share on email. And I want to take a moment to honor you for following your curiosity and prioritizing your pleasure in this way. And until next time, thank you so much for listening. And I'll be back with another episode soon.